I'm your host, D-Can, along with my co-host, K-Jose, and we are the Voices of the Unheard. Tonight, we have a couple of special guests from the block with us. We have Ed Oliver, along with our main man, Brandon Scott, as well. Be sure to check them out. Welcome to the show, fellas.
What's good? Appreciate the invite, man.
What's up, fellas? Thank you for having us on.
Before we get started, if this is your first time to me at Wizards Mafia, and follow K-Jose at DC Hoopla on Twitter. Also, please follow us at State of the Wizards on Instagram and State of the Wizards Twitter. Social media and how people can follow you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Ed2Flags, EDT FLA. So it's a weird Twitter name. I got it back when I was in high school. I've had Twitter since like 2011, man. It's been a long time having Twitter, so don't mind my Twitter name at all.
Yes, sir, man. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. That's Brandon_7Scott.
All right, that's a bet. That's a bet. Welcome to the show, guys. How y'all feeling tonight, man?
Feeling good, man. Jordan Poole getting booed. You know, it's a rebuilding year. So I mean, West being West, you know, so it's stuff that it's some stuff I expected, but I didn't expect Jordan Poole to get booed. But other than that, you know, I'm doing good.
Already, man, that's crazy.
Dang, it's funny, man. I didn't think people was gonna cancel on the pool party that quick. Sheesh, man. They getting booed already. Let's start off with Johnny Davis before we even talk about the game. Why is this dude getting DNPs?
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with West, man. I think the front office kind of gave him a lot of wiggle room to kind of decide on the rotations as he seems fit, which is probably part of the problem. But yeah, he has his favorites. You know, Anthony Gill, you know, if you look at the time that he kind of chose to play him over at, you know, Denny at times. I think he just doesn't have much confidence in him. But I mean, you got to look at, you know, his shots a little is still a work in progress. But, you know, the defense is still a reason to give him some minutes, at least 15 minutes. And the fact that, you know, you still got to evaluate him, you know, even if he's not part of the future, at least give him some minutes to at least boost his value a little bit so you can throw him into a trade at the deadline. So,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's disappointing because DeLon Wright is out for 4 to 6 weeks. So it's like, okay, you see DeLon is out, you're like, okay, Johnny should be getting some minutes here, at least, you know, be a defensive presence, you know, provide some, you know, getting some steals, deflections, and whatnot, trying to replace a little bit what DeLon was doing. I know he's not going to be as good defensively as DeLon was, but, you know, you got to give the young guy. He's your 10th pick of the draft. I get Tommy drafted him. They didn't draft him, so they're not invested in him. Like you see, they're clearly invested in Bilal, and they're starting to give him a lot more minutes. Bilal's earning the minutes, so good for Bilal. But yeah, Johnny, man, he's just not getting any playing time. They're playing Shamet. Shemet has a couple good games. You know, he had that one game where he dunked on somebody. So I was like, okay, Shemet's playing well. Let him play. That was a shocker to me too. And Brandon brought up Anthony Gill. It's just like you're playing guys like Anthony Gill over Johnny Davis. It's just like, you know, we know what Anthony Gill can do. He's a good 12th man, 13th man on the roster. He's going to clap on the bench really well. He's going to be a good role model, good guy off the court. But you gotta see what your 10th pick of the draft can do, man. And if you don't want him here, if you're not going to play him, then you might as well trade him. Doesn't have much trade value, but at least let the young man play. At least let him get 10 minutes. 10 minutes won't hurt you. We're waving a white flag with 8 minutes left to go anyway. So what does it hurt letting Johnny Davis come in and get 10, 15 minutes? You know, so
and that's
yeah, that's the disappointing thing, man. I mean, you know, Johnny Davis can't get any minutes over Anthony Gill. I'm like, look, man, it's Anthony Gill. It's not Johnny Gill. It's Anthony Gill. He can't. Like, come on, guys. I'm like, I'm just not understanding why he can't. And his shot mechanics. I'm like, what was wrong with his release? There was nothing wrong with it. And then they fixed something that wasn't. I mean, they really broke something that didn't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
So to me, man, I'm done with him. I was done with him when we drafted him. It's just a failed pick by Tommy Shepard. Wes Unseld vouched for it because he said he could draw up a play, but he's not even good enough to get any minutes. So he prefers to play Anthony Gill over him. Come on, that's just, I don't know what to say, man.
And you raise a good point, Ed. You have to play your 10th pick, man. I mean, you got to give the boy confidence. At least see if he can string together a good couple of minutes, see if he can string together a good couple of games. I mean, he has to get the reps. And so, the reason why we see progression out of Bilal is because he's putting Bilal in the spots. Granted, to young athlete, this kid, in my opinion, has it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like for them to kind of unleash him a little bit more. No, Johnny Davis isn't built like that. But at the same time, let him run with some of the young cast members out there and just see little bright spots here and there. I just don't think that he is it, obviously, but let's see if he can string together a good.
Yeah, I mean, you see the scoring, Johnny, man. I mean, he can definitely score, but the thing is, he's not blown past nobody. So he's got to be crafty as far as his footwork. He's got to get into the mechanics of the game, man. Where in this era of basketball, that's the thing now. Basketball's a whole new level. It's a different game now because everybody wants to shoot threes and be athletic, but nobody knows how to do a pivot. Right. So he's got to learn the mechanics of playing the ball, man, because he's not blown past anybody. But I don't know what it is with the shot, man. Because I'm with you. I kind of looked at his mechanics at Wisconsin, and they weren't too bad. He could have had a fast release, but now he's got this little janky thing going on with his leg where it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's frustrating to watch, man. So, but his defense to me is why he does have a little bit of value. Not a lot, but a little bit, because it's a shooter's league now. But if you look at trademarking now for defensive-minded guys, look what the Jazz got for Gobert. And then if you look at Marcus Smart, he got a couple of firsts. So defense is a premium now. So a change of scenery, like I said, I always mention James Wiseman because he's another guy who's catching DMPs. You might as well solidify the center position with depth with a guy who, where if he pans out, cool, you can get him for kind of a hometown discount because we have all the leverage. And if he's not it, let him walk. So
right.
And let me ask you guys, let's just keep it a buck. How you guys feeling about the start?
Well, just the start in general to the season.
2-9 start. We know we're not going to be good, but so far, how are you grading the team? Even though we know we're not that good.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Raptors game was a game they should have won. I mean, clearly they should have won, but it was a Wes Unseld Jr. masterclass. It was the script of the Clippers game, we're up by 35, or last year the Blazers were up by 25. The Nets were up by 25. Cam Thomas drops 35 points in that game. Pascal puts up 39 on us. Like, Pascal didn't make 1 3 that game. That's the most terrible thing about it. He just kept getting to the paint all the time. You got Kuz complaining about the refs, which I agree with Kuz. I agree with Kuz on the play. I thought it should have been our ball, but you still got to get back on defense. He's telling West to challenge. And guess what? It's 5-on-4. They go down and score. West doesn't challenge. West can't draw up an inbounds play. So it's a typical West Unseld Jr. stuff. Me and Brandon talk about this all the time. It was too early to pick up that option. I thought that was something they shouldn't have done. I get why they did it. They want to be the whole father and son thing, and they want to, make him comfortable. So I understand why they did it, but at the same time, they should not have did it. But yeah, the only positives right now really is Bilal's playing well. Denny looks more confident and more decisive. Right. I'll say that. He's more aggressive. That's good. I mean, he's not putting up 20 points a game, but he's still being more aggressive. He's not putting his head down. He's not complaining to the refs as much as he used to. So those are the only positives I see. And I do think Kuzma's trade value is not going up, but it's not going down. And I think a contender will want him because he's had a couple good games that teams can look at and be like, hey, Kuz is balling. He can shoot the three. He can get the basket. He can pass. We can use him. So those are the only positives. Other than that, the defense has been awful. Gafford. And I won't even give Gafford a hard time anymore because he's the only big we got. So he's trying. Yes, he's getting pushed around by Lively last night, giving up offensive rebounds and whatnot against a guy who actually is smaller than Gafford. But we only have one big, man, and it's showing, man. We're getting cooked in the paint every night. We got Gallup on the 5. So I could go on and on and on. But to answer the question for a grade, it's hard to give it a grade. Wes gets an F, of course, and Blau gets like I probably get Blau an A at this point. Denny probably gets about a B plus A. He's improving. He's getting better. And overall as a team, I probably give us like a C because the defense is atrocious. But I get the end game. The end game is getting a draft pick. I understand the process.
Good, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with E, man. I'm gonna roll with a C overall, man, because there are bright spots. You know, Bilal, man, his defense is nasty. He's a dog, man. But if he could be consistent on the offensive end, where the main concern was a 3-point shot, now he's starting to drop them. Same with Denny. Denny, you know, all in my opinion, elite level defense, man. He just needed to add that offensive repertoire, right? But you know, outside of that, I mean, Jordan Poole, I think he does have a lot of talent, but he's got to mature a lot, man. You know, he came in a situation where I think he's feeling himself a little too much. And then once they told him it was his team, it was like, oh, okay. I'm just gonna throw towels, do whatever I want in timeouts. You know what I mean? So he's got to mature. He's got to figure out what his place is in DC long term. But I mean, no effort. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing about rebuilds, man. Rebuilds is where you figure out what you got. You have that 1 year where it's kind of an evaluation year. Then 3 years, man, you're trying to develop young guys. So this rebuild doesn't have to last forever. You know, realistically, man, we go in this next year's draft and get an Alex Sarr, or we go get a Ron Holland, or even we go get a point guard and Collier or Wagner. You know, realistically, in 3 years, we could be a decent team because we have a foundation. You know, Bilal is going to be here. Denny looks solid. And Poole, if you could figure his game out, you got a nice solid foundation here in DC, man. But here's the thing. They're not playing with any kind of pride. You know, they're playing around, they're joking around, you know. Nah, that's not culture, which is they're preaching the culture. Yeah. But culture is effort, is caring. You know, you have to play hard. Here's my thing, man. If you play hard and you still take an L, cool. Got you. But you sit there playing around, you bouncing the ball at the backboard, you know, you trying to do this behind your back mess, and it's like, come on, man, what are we doing? So it's a C.
Yeah. Okay, Jose, what you got?
I'm pretty much with them too. I give it a C. I like what I'm seeing out of Bilal. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Denny. Denny is hitting that 3-point shot. It's pretty much splashing in when he's shooting it. We see Turbo Denny. Bilal's offense is better than what I thought it was going to be, especially him shooting a 3. I mean, he has that corner 3 like it's almost automatic. When we talk about the behaviors, man, I mean that goes to coaching. You know, I see a lot of people on Wizards Twitter keeps comparing Wes Unseld to Steven Silas, so I kind of get that because it's looking like we're the Houston Rockets, and now they got Ime down there, and all of that knuckleheadness is gone. So once we get a new head coach, I think that coach will be able to get Jordan Poole in play and get him to do exactly what he's supposed to do. Now, I think the mistake that the organization made, or the mistake that was made from the beginning, was saying that he had the green light to shoot as much as he wants to.
Yeah.
That should not have been said. But of course, we're talking about Wes. He's not the type of coach that's known to hold anybody accountable. And he proved it in the past where he wasn't able to handle egos of players that was a little bit better than what we have right now. So I think a lot of that culture is going to change once you change the head coach and you get a head coach in here that's going to hold these guys accountable. I mean, to what you stated, Brandon, I mean, we're going to be getting other young players coming in. And if the goal is to get Cooper Flagg, do you want Wes Unseld coaching Cooper Flagg? Do you really want that? And the answer is no.
I mean, I don't want Wes Unseld coaching my kids' team, man. Like, I'm just being real with you. I mean, because it's year 3 and he comes over from Denver, right? And he's supposed to be a defensive-minded coach, and the defense is trash every year. It's the 3rd year. The defense is abysmal. I mean, it's not like you're good at one aspect of defense. We can't defend the paint. We can't defend the perimeter. We're terrible in transition. We don't communicate. It's abysmal to watch them defend. And the rebound's even worse. How many games have you watched where these guys are getting 2, 3 touches on a possession? Like, come on, man. What are we doing? So
that Charlotte game was proof of that.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Williams, wow. Yeah, 20 points, 20 boards.
That's what made me really not like Johnny Davis pick even more, watching him just rebound the ball. Ridiculous.
Yeah, him, Jalen Duren, so many guys you could talk about.
An offensive-minded head coach. Whatever happened to that? I thought that was one of the big reasons why we brought him here, is because quote unquote, he was supposed to be a defensive minded head coach?
I think he just said that to get the job. I mean, you got to think about it. You and I had that conversation a few years ago. The job wasn't desirable, so he said everything he could to get the job. He said accountability. We're not seeing that. He said it's going to be about buy-in. We're not seeing that. He said he was a defensive-minded coach. We're not seeing that. He said that he can develop young guys. We're not seeing that. So, you know, that's why I asked that question when I think I said it on Twitter. It's like, how much credit are we going to give Wes Unseld for Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr.? We're going to give him credit for those guys. How about those guys just was going to be it? And as you said, D-Can, when you look at Bilal, he's freestyling right now. Think about when Wes has to actually coach him.
Yeah. So Bilal's just out there playing his game. He's just doing what Bilal does. So, you know, not running any plays through Bilal. You can see it in the game. He's just naturally gifted. He's naturally talented. And Wes is using that, you know, to his advantage because he's the kid, really. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. So, you know, that's where I'm at. I look at it like it doesn't matter who we draft. As long as Wes is the coach, you're not going to get those results that you really want to see. Jordan Poole is a prime example. He comes to the Wizards and he's digressing. Like, that is a problem. Like, that leads to coaching. I don't know what you guys think. That to me is prime example of coaching right there. Bad coaching.
I agree. I mean, you know, he's coming here and I mean, come on, he's getting booed. If he got booed last night, come on, man. I mean, Wes is not, you know, a lot of people say that Jordan Poole should play the one. Okay, why not try him at the one? Why? I knew that we were going to struggle the moment we was going with Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole. We saw that last season with Bradley Beal and Monte Morris. So why are we doing it again? I get it that Tyus Jones doesn't turn the ball over. I get it he has a reliable floater. But he's a liability on defense.
Yeah, big.
If Luka is checking him, think about it, Luka can shoot over him all night long.
Right.
So you got to have an explosive point guard. We've been spoiled by watching John Wall and, of course, that one season of Russ. And we get Tyus Jones. I have to put him in the same category as like having Michael Adams. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm going way back. I'll just expose my age, but I got to put it back into that category. Like, what are we talking about here, man? So
shout out to Michael Adams. Man. Shout out to Michael Adams. I want to put him.
Shout out to him, but you know, Michael Adams had to make sure his shot didn't get blocked.
Right. But you can go ahead, Brandon.
No, I've been talking too much. You go ahead, man.
No. Jordan Poole, I mean, yeah, some of it's on him. The whole huddle thing where he's not looking at the clipboard. You know, he's got to lock in, the Shaq and the fool, throwing it off the backboard, the behind the back again, block board for Porzingis. But yeah, even he doesn't have to start the one, but at times they can definitely let him bring the ball up, control the offense. I was looking at the numbers. 6% of the time he's played at point guard, like 94% he's played shooting guard. But yeah, I want to see them do. We haven't seen a Jordan Poole Bilal backcourt at all during the games. There really hasn't been a lineup with like Bilal, Denny, and Gafford at all. So Wes really sticks to his lineups. He sticks with his lineups. He doesn't really make changes. The only time he'll make a change is to bench Denny for Anthony Gill. That's the only time or bench Denny, put Gafford in the star lineup. That's the only moves that he made last season. Other than that, everybody else is untouchable. He doesn't bench anybody else.
Right.
Tyus, he is who he is. He's really a sixth man on a good team. But here he's starting. You know, he's got the floater game, turnover assist ratio, same thing with Monte Morris. He basically is Monte Morris again. They've given up a lot of buckets every single night. That's just how it's going to be. Jordan Poole's never going to be a good defender. But yeah, they need to let him have the ball in his hands, make things easier for him, coming off screens, pin downs, different things. Try to make things easier for Jordan Poole. Now, last night, I didn't have a problem with his shot selection. They did. A lot of fans booed because he airballed. But he missed like probably missed like 3 or 4 floaters. They were wide open floaters. He's just not hitting them. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. He's just not locked in right now. But last night I thought he took good shots. Where some nights I'm just like, okay, yeah, he's just doing N1 mixtape, dribble, trying to get whatever shot off. I thought he actually took some good shots last night. But you know, we'll see. And last night was a good matchup for him. No Kyrie. The Mavs, they give a lot of points in the paint, and he still struggle from the field. Was 6 for 18. Him and Kuzma struggled last night shooting from the field. So Yeah, it's a new team. Like we've seen guys struggle with new teams. Right now, James Harden is awful right now, playing with the Clippers. So that's a new face in a new place. There's a couple guys on new teams that are kind of taking a long time to get it going. But right now, yeah, it's some of it's definitely on Jordan Poole, some of it's definitely on Wes. But yeah, he's got to get it together because even Wes benched him in one game and he barely played. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to take some time. And I think once they start trading guys like Tyus, DeLon, I think we'll see him and Bilal. But I think Wes needs to play those guys together. Jordan at the one, Bilal at the two.
He needs to see what he can at least get out of that backcourt together before we. Yeah, I agree. Brandon, anything to add to that?
I mean, get back on West real quick, man. You know, I think his name had a little bit to do with it because if you think about it, when you see Unseld, his dad won the only championship we got, and that was in the '70s, so you can kind of let that sink in. But you know, yeah, coaching
top 75 draft pick, by the way.
Look, there you go. But I mean, here's the thing, though. If you look at construction, what coach do you know right now is going to win coach's team right now in the state we're in right now? I mean, you might want to find an up and comer and who's not synonymous with the franchise, right? Because I mean, to me, the way to build is you look at teams like Golden State where they built through the draft. Which, by the way, when we traded for Randy Ford and Mike Miller, we could have gotten Stephen Curry. I'm just throwing it out there, but you know, built through the draft because 3 years you could see a really good young team. Like I said, SARS nasty at the center position, very athletic. I mean, DJ Wagner, you know, man, DeJuan Wagner, you remember him Cleveland days, man. I mean, there's talent. You know, Bilal is definitely a good step in the right direction. So there's hope, but we'd have had to hit on draft picks because for some reason DC's not a place where people want to go. And I think it's going to change, but for right now, it's going to be hard to find those free agents. And so we got to build through the draft. And so this front office is going to get us straight, but West got to go, man. I mean, I don't care where he goes. It's got to get up out of here, man. So
we're all in agreement.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready for West to go. I've seen enough in 3 years, man. I'm done.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Somebody buys ticket for the Dallas airport.
The State of the Wizards, be sure to tune in for the second part. Once again, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to State of the Wizards Part 2. We got the Locked On Wizards guys. I'm your host, K. Jose. So let's continue the conversation we've been having. So one question I do have, and this is for everybody. Does it look like we're losing these games on purpose?
Absolutely. I mean, they're not really making an effort to make it, you know, the hide they're tanking, man. I mean, it just screams tank job to me, man. So I'm gonna say definitely.
Yeah. I think the first couple of games were ugly. They were waving a white flag, and then they started to get a little competitive. The Raptors game, certainly. I mean, you don't play Gafford that whole fourth quarter when he's playing well. You keep Shemet in instead of putting Gafford in. I think that's ridiculous. I think and West's not even challenging. Like even if you get the challenge wrong, you got to try. You got to back your guys up, you know, and your guys lose confidence in you too as a coach if you're not going to challenge or back them up, and you know, and believe in them and try to put yourself out there for those guys. So I think they are losing by design, and they didn't get any other bigs as well. But there's some games where they certainly could have won. That Raptors game they should have won. The Hornets game they should have won too. They were up by I want to say by 10 points against the Hornets where we lost that game. Mm-hmm. And then the Nets game, we were close, and then they just let the lead. They were close with 2 minutes left in that Nets game in Brooklyn, and then the Nets just jump out to a lead, and they finished the Wizards off in that game too. So there were certainly some games where they really had a good chance to win, but they're like, okay, yeah, we need to get this draft pick. So you can clearly see that.
So what was the win in Charlotte about?
Win in Charlotte. That's the weird thing about it too. I'm trying to look at the numbers and see how that game went. Kuz had 33, so Kuz had 33, but they do stuff like that. And DeLon Ray had 16, Shaman had 15, Gallo hit 4 threes.
Yeah,
So the bench went crazy in that game. The second game, we were up by 15 that game. That game we were playing well. Denny had a behind the back pass to Jordan Poole, and then after that, they just let Mark Williams get every board, did 20 boards in the second half. So
that was nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. So I know you guys saw the article pertaining to Jordan Poole saying that it's a possibility that we'll move on past him. So how did you guys feel about that, seeing that article? Like, did you guys think that he possibly was a part of this rebuild, or did you think at some point we were going to move on past him? What did you guys think about that?
I mean, when we made the trade, man, at first it's like, okay, we're getting a young guy who hasn't even reached his prime yet, who could be part of the foundation. If not, maybe play his way to being a cornerstone. But now it's like, when you look at the trade now, it's different in hindsight, right? You know what I mean? Now it's like, now I see why they let go of a young guy who hasn't his prime yet, because you see the immaturity, you see the issues with him. Kind of, like I said, I think he's kind of feeling himself, because when they told him he had a green light and kind of told him, this is your team, because I mean, you notice at the time, what did he say? Oh, this is my team, man, get out of here. It's like, he already has in his head, like, man, look, I'm the guy. And what I'm trying to say is, like, nobody here is the guy. Like, the only people here that aren't under the microscope for potentially being traded is Denny, because he just signed a contract, and Bilal. But to me, everybody else is tradable. Gaff, he's first year of an extension, but he is so one-sided as a center, man. And in modern day in the NBA, he's a relic. I mean, he's a lob threat and he can defend sometimes, but he can't expand the court at all. He can't shoot. And, if you look at Kuzma, obviously he eventually going to get dealt, but I mean, everybody's tradable, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Especially Kuz, the type of contract that he's on, the descending contract, and a guy who's averaging 20, and he's very serviceable vet. Win now team for somebody like Kuz and his contract. So what do we get back for Kuz is kind of where I'm at. Who do you guys think we could get back if we trade Kuz?
I say what I told you offline. I would call Houston and ask about Cam Whitmore. Being so he's down at the G League, why not see if you can get Cam Whitmore? So I think Kuz can net you Cam Whitmore at this point.
I totally agree. What y'all think?
Man, you know how I feel about Cam Whitmore. I mean, I'm all in with Cam Whitmore, man. He's from the DMV and he came in NBA ready. I'm trying to tell you. So, yeah, I'm definitely making that call, because Cam Whitmore, he lessens the time of that rebuild. You got a guy who's ready to play, man. So I'm absolutely calling Houston, man. Maybe Sacramento. I mean, can we maybe get Davion Mitchell? I mean, maybe that's an intriguing move. I mean, I think there's a lot of options with Kuz, man. But looking at Jordan Poole, I think it behooves the front office to kind of take him aside and say, look, if you don't want to be here, that's cool. Help us boost your value. And then when it's time to move you, we'll move you. And we'll move you to a contender or whoever wants to deal with your mess. And then we can go ahead and get assets in return. But they had to be transparent like they did with Bill. Because, look, they came in, he told Bill, he said, look, you gone, man. I mean, just choose where you want to go. You out of here. So I think this new front office is not playing around, man. They're gonna, if he doesn't want to be here, then definitely try to work together, get his value up, and then maybe you put him and Kuz together and get a disgruntled star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some young guys that are disgruntled, like Jaden Ivey and James Wiseman. I know the Bulls are about to have a fire sale. We're not going to get Levine, but they're going to sell off some guys. I think you can get a first round pick for Kuz. It may be like a late first, because I think a playoff team, so you're not going to get a lottery pick for Kuz, but you're going to get a team that is going to make the playoffs. So you're probably going to get like the 20th pick in the draft, 21st. Which is better than what we got. We didn't get a first for Bill. We didn't get a first for Porzingis. So I think you can actually get a first for Kuzma, because he's on a reasonable deal. And his contract, it declines, which was a good job by the front office doing that. They did the same thing with Denny as well. So his contract declines.
Yep.
But yeah, I think you can get a first for Kuz. It may not be like a star or anything like that in return, but I think you can get a first and a couple of solid players. As long as you get some draft capital, that's what really matters most. Cam Whitmore would be great. but I don't think the Rockets are going to move on from him just yet. It's still very, very early. And you got to see what the Pistons do with some of their guys, and you got to see what the Bulls do with some of the guys. Maybe there's a 3-team trade that could happen. So there's a lot of things that could happen before the trade deadline for sure.
Right.
That's a great point.
I think the Mavericks may be interested. Brandon brought up the Kings. The Kings have won Kuzma for years and years and years. They're a playoff team. They're going to make the playoffs again. So it would be a team like that that's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? The Kings are very, very intrigued because, like you said, was it Davion Mitchell, right? He's a defensive type of point guard this team needs. Two teams, it's like a match made in heaven. They've always wanted Kuz, to your point, Ed. We need a point guard going to be, havoc on the perimeter. I think that would be a great fit. Alongside, if you keep Jordan Poole, I mean, even somebody option for Poole defensively, right? If you're not gonna move Bilal to the 2, at least get a defensive mind point guard who can as well. That's something to definitely think about.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be wise to move Bilal to the 2 because I just read that the dude is now 6'8". So he grew 2 inches since he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And this 6'8" without shoes. It's taller.
Crazy.
So let me ask you this. This is going to stay on Jordan Poole. If he is traded, would this be a bad move by Will Dawkins? Will it be labeled as a bad move by Will Dawkins?
Great question.
I don't think so. I think it's a good move, man, because look, what they say, man, this is chess, not checkers. I mean, you take on assets to maybe potentially flip them. I mean, look at Kyle Kuzma's deal, right? They signed him to a very team-friendly deal, knowing that in the middle of this deal, they're going to deal him. So Jordan Poole is one of those type of assets where if you get him straight, somebody's going to want him, man. Somebody's going to be able to spend capital to attain him. But that's the thing. We have to build his value back up because, like I said, everything's in hindsight. At first, you had Kevin Garnett saying that he compared him to James Harden coming on from OKC, and now game 10, he's getting booed on the court. So, I mean, it's been that quick of a sample size where the whole fan base has changed their opinion about him. So we've got to make him kind of sexy to other teams, right? We got to be able to. That's what I'm saying. This front office has to be transparent. Say, look, if you don't want to be here, I get it, but boost your value up because it behooves you above all to get your value up, and then we'll look at deals and see what you want. Just like Bill,
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness Jordan doesn't have no trade clause in his contract. That's the only thing helping us out right now. But yeah, they got to get his trade value back up. The article that came out from Mark Stein was saying that he's a guy that they brought in to be traded eventually. And you trade Chris Paul, who's 38, for Jordan Poole. You get that first round pick. That's a 2029 first round pick is protected. For the first 20 picks of the draft is protected. So we may not see that pick. We'll see where the Warriors are at 5 or 6 years from now. But I think Jordan Poole's a guy that's going to be moved eventually. It may not be this year. It may have to be in the off season. It may be next year before the trade deadline. Right now, it's not looking like it's going to be before February unless he requests a trade. So it's going to take some time to get his value back up. But I think we would move him. I don't think he's a cornerstone. I think the only guy that we see as a long-term piece right now is Bilal, and then just looking at Denny, he has a couple years of his contract.
So here's a question that I have for you guys, and I posed this to Keho. Feel like this is actually a rebuild year, or is this more of a destruction year, tear it down year, and let's build it back up?
Oh, it's definitely a tear down. This is a kind of a transitional year, out with the old and in with the new type deal, man. I mean, year one of the rebuild really is not till next year. So, I mean, that's what it's weird how you look at the roster construction, the veteran guys like Shaman, who's in the way of a Johnny Davis, where hypothetically you want to get minutes for Johnny Davis, but you're still trying to flip some of these expiring deals and still trying to develop at the same time. So no, I would say that your first official year for rebuild is next season.
Yeah, it's definitely tear it down. They don't right now. The roster is It's an odd roster, only having one big. I think they're going to draft a big man. They're going to bring a big man. They have to draft a big man. There's a lot of players to look at in the draft. Of course, a lot of positions, but I think it's a tear down year. You still got some veterans in here like Gallo and Muscala and Shamet, guys that you want to move. And then once they get some more young talent in here, I think they're going to try to play some more young guys and see how that goes. Of course, you still got to have some veterans on the team, but I think it's a tear down year. And then once they finally get another coach, I think they're going to have more of a direction of where they really, really, really want to go. Because, yeah, West is just Steven Silas at this point. But kind of, you look at what the Rockets did. They were bad for the past couple of years. They bought an Ime Udoka. Now they're like, okay, hey, this is our time to shine. This is our time. And the Rockets are winning a lot of games. They're playing really, really well right now. So I think right now it's a tear down year. It's an evaluation year. They're going to let it play out with West. Let some of these guys play, some of these vets go. Maybe let some of these veterans play right now. Then they're going to trade them and then get a new coach in here, whether they promote Vanderpool or Keith, whoever, or they bring somebody from the outside. And then it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to finally get – we're going to get a direction and we have a vision on where we want to go. Right now, it's just an evaluation period.
So Wes is really Captain Destruction right now, huh?
Yeah. He's just there. He's just there to get us through this year. And after this year, they're going to find somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you think?
I mean, he's the perfect tank commander is what people would call him.
Man.
Hey, man, praise God. It ain't Tommy Shepard. He probably give him a lifetime deal, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. Thank God we don't have to deal with that anymore. But I think looking at how the way this year is going, it's kind of the reason why I wasn't really too more worried about the wins. I've always said it was going to be anywhere between 25 to maybe 32 wins. Now it's looking like we may not even get to 25. But a lot of people are saying, hey, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to look at a bad team. But nobody said that a teardown or a rebuild is beautiful. When have you ever seen a demolition look pretty? So it's called a demolition for a reason. So right now we just have to kind of just suffer with what we're seeing. Once we get a coach, what now?
Some ugly demolitions out there.
Yeah, it is, and we're one of them. So it's just one of those things.
Our building's supposed to come that way.
Well, that's only in DC, bro. That the building will fall this way, it'll fall that way, it'll fall forward. You know, I mean, it's just the demolition in DC never looks good. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I mean, you know, I think that it's important for this team, this organization to draft a big. Once I saw that we only had one big man, it really started with Vukovic. When we sent him back overseas, I said, okay, well, we're not really going to be competitive. And Gafford is our only big man. And in DCAN, you was always talking about, well, why is he not getting 30 minutes? Well, because he has a conditioning problem. You can't play him no more than 25 minutes because he gets winded. So, and it didn't make a difference whether he had a backup or not. He just gets winded. So we do need a big man in the worst way. Our future big man, because Gafford, in my opinion, is a backup. He was a backup in Chicago. That's where he should be here.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna say it's something about us and big men and conditioning. I don't get it. Like, you know, Kwame had that problem. Gafford got that problem. Somebody else had that problem. Somebody else had a conditioning issue. But you know, this year was supposed to be a year where we saw the players start to develop and get more playing time than what they got in the past, 20 minutes a game. You know, and we chalked it up to, well, maybe Gafford isn't built for the win now, right? Maybe just not. You get rid of Porzingis, you get rid of Bill, you get rid of all the win now guys. You got the young guys. Why is Gafford not playing? I feel like the whole conditioning thing is an excuse. If you ask me, he can play. Like Ed said, he was balling 15 minutes in the first half. And then in the second half, he got 12 minutes. And he decided to go with Shamet over Gafford when Gafford was cooking. No excuse, man.
Well, that was just a tank job there, man. That's all that was. I mean, it was just a tank job. And you're gonna put Shaman up against Siakam? That's a tank job.
Okay, you're right. It ain't. We want to see this team still develop when we lose. That's the point. We would have still lost the game if Gafford. Let us see Gafford play 28 minutes, develop, and lose the game. What's wrong with that? This goes back. Our demolition ain't going like this. It's going like this.
Well, yeah, I get it. I mean, but you got to look at it. We are supposed to be developing, but we're watching West Unseld trying to develop Anthony Gill. Like, there you go. You're watching Wes Unseld develop Anthony Gill. If you look at Anthony Gill, each coach that we had, they've had a favorite player that we're like, well, why are you holding on to him? When it was Randy Whitman, his favorite player was who? Garrett Temple. when it was Eddie Jordan, his favorite player was who? Michael Ruffin. So it's always these guys that some of these coaches like to hold on to. I don't know why Anthony Gill is here. I mean, we're literally watching him develop. And I'm like, the dude is 30. How is he going to develop, man? He's going to develop his 401k plan?
Yeah. Oh, no, I was at the game.
You really should. They should put Eugene out there instead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right. Good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm at the home game against the Hornets. I'm sitting right behind his wife, and all I see is Gil over there blowing kisses. So he's on the sideline blowing kisses. So.
Yeah, but,
prisoners controlling the asylum, man. I'm telling you, man. I mean, that's the frustrating part is that, the coach is not holding these players accountable. I know I gave Ime a little bit of flack. That's due to what he did off the court. And I know that somebody said, hey, we should bring him here. I said, well, Ted's not going to bring him here, man. If you bring Ime here, you got to hide your wife. Let's keep it honest. You got to hide your wife. He can coach, but he also has a problem controlling himself too with your wife. I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, we do need a coach who's going to be a disciplinarian. I do think it should be an up and coming coach. Some people say, Becky Hammond, that probably wouldn't be bad. And somebody that's just going to tell Jordan Poole or any of these other guys, hey, look, sit your ass down if you're not going to play defense.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we need.
Getting back to Daniel Gafford, man, how many years are you going to have a conditioning problem? Like, you make how much money? Look, give me $50K, man. I'll be Usain Bolt out here, man. I mean, I'll be in the best shape of my life, man. I'm just saying, like, how many years, man? How many years are we really trying to get this guy in conditioning? He's not a starter, man. In fact,
he's not.
I'm trying to look at the trade market and see what I can get for him because he's first year of an extension, man. I'm getting that contract off the books. So
I agree. I agree with you on that one.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Gafford, but yeah, he's a backup, and you see him any big that plays strong or plays with a little bit of physicality, he struggles with those guys. Seeing him against Lively last night was disappointing to see him allow it Lively to go over his back and get rebounds and get off of the boards. But yeah, Gafford, he has his moments. He definitely can get in foul trouble very quickly. When he goes up against Embiid, I mean, everybody struggles against Embiid. But yeah, Gafford, he plays hard, but sometimes, he struggles to finish around the rim, but he's a good lob threat. So I think he's a really, really good backup. He's a lob threat. Doesn't really stretch the floor either. But, I mean, he's the only big out there. So they're throwing him out there, hanging him to the wolves, basically, because nobody can guard out on the perimeter. That's the one thing, too. Jordan Poole struggles out there guarding other guards. Same thing with Tyus Jones. So they put a lot of responsibility and a lot of weight on Gafford's shoulders to get stops. So some of it's not his fault, but yeah, he like in the first half against Embiid, where Embiid put up 48, probably one of the easiest 48 points I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I know.
But he blocked Embiid twice in the first half, in that first quarter. Like, he was trying, and Embiid threw an elbow at Gafford's face. They called it technical, but they should have called offensive foul. They called a foul on Gafford. So Gafford's trying. He is what he is, but we're playing him as a starter, so we're really playing him out of what he really is. And as far as the contract and trading him, I think he has some value too. I think another playoff team would take him in as a backup. I think he could kind of have that JaVale McGee role where JaVale's been on championship teams, man. He's been on championship teams as a backup with the Lakers. He was on the Suns where they were competitive. So he's been on multiple teams as a good backup. And I think that's kind of what Gafford and JaVale have a lot of similarities. They're both bouncy, athletic, but they kind of have Shaq in the fool moments where they can be a little silly here and there. So I think his trajectory really is kind of like that JaVale McGee type of career.
Interesting. I would have probably said maybe Theo Ratliff or Samuel Dallenberg. Which those guys, that's pretty much more what Gafford is. But to your point, if you put him on a playoff team and if he has a point guard that can make him a lob threat, then you can make him look more like DeAndre Jordan when he played for the Clippers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Russ got the best out of him. Lobs, layups, easy baskets. That's what you need. I really wish I could have seen Gaff with John Wall. I think that would have been he would have been great for Dan Gaff.
He ain't had no conditioning problem then, did he?
Yeah.
No. Well, he would have had it because you're gonna have to run with John. So yeah.
I mean,
so
Russ brought out the best in Gafford. He ain't had no conditioning problem. He was catching them lives. I don't think I seen that gap.
Yeah. And that's how he got paid. Because the thing is, and I'm not going to say Tommy rewarded Gafford too early, but you kind of look back at it. That was the time where we were rewarding everybody. Wes got his early extension. Tommy Shepard even got an extension. That's when we went 10-3, and they was rewarding everybody. Tommy Shepard got an extension. Ted was happy as I don't know what. So I mean, we reward guys pretty early here. That's the one thing. So the contract's not a bad contract. But it's like, we might have rewarded him just a little too early.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll ask this question. I'm gonna direct this to you, DK, and I want you to answer this question. So with the upcoming draft, we might as well start talking about that right now. So with the upcoming draft, what position do you think the Wizards should be focusing on?
I need a big man. So SAR is on the top of the list right now. I think that we're talking about Daniel Gafford, thinking about his replacement. You got to start thinking about maybe putting somebody at that 4 position as well. Can you play 4 or 5? In a new system under a new coach with Bilal? Sure, but I like to see Bilal forward. Not just like a Trevor Ariza role standing out in the corner shooting threes. I think this kid with another athletic big at our future right there. So if you can plug him into that too, let's just say if you draft SAR, you have a picture of what your future looks like with just those 2 players. And then if we have another bad season next year, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, flag is there. Now you got an answer right there with your 3 young core players, Bilal, Cooper. Oh, you've already answered for the main issues that we've had on this roster for several years. And find out who's going to be your point guard, so on and so forth. So, you know what? Poole has an excellent. Spot. He could be the one to fill out the rest of the roster, but I don't know. I don't know if he's up for that task, vision, and that might be the issue. So we're gonna have to still think about who we're gonna draft at 1.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'm looking at it like this, bro. I mean, we need to go in there with a couple of picks. Try to get another pick, man, because if you can grab SAR, I mean, Bradshaw's out there. He's a guy who's athletic, who can defend out of University of Kentucky, man. So, but I'm doing this. I'm gonna grab me a center, and I'm making a decision for this organization. Go ahead and get a point guard. DJ Wagner is a baller. I'm saying right now, and Isaiah Collier out of USC, man, is a baller. I mean, Holland, Holland. Even if you luck into Holland, man, you can slide Jennings to the 4, and you got Blau at the 2, and then you got a real athletic and defensive-minded team right there. So, I mean, this rebuild doesn't have to last forever. It's just you got to build to the draft. But to kind of jump ahead, you got to get another pick because a lot of people are kind of crapping on this draft, but there's a lot of athleticism, raw athleticism, but it is there. for a rebuilding team.
So you're saying try to grab or two first round picks this season.
Absolutely. If I'm leaving this draft with a center with Sarr or Collier, that is a young squad. And you combine that with Bilal, you combine that with Denny. And then, by that point, Jordan, ask him what he wants to do. If he wants to stay, then see what his fit is. But I'm making a decision for him because here's the thing. There's too much power to be given to people as far as players, as far as letting the players dictate the direction of the team. Nah, I'm making that decision. So.
Yeah, I would take best player available. But you have a glaring weakness at point guard. You have a glaring weakness at the big man spot. So it's kind of a win-win with either spot. I have seen Collier a little bit. I've seen Sarr a little bit. I haven't done a lot of research into the college players just yet or overseas guys, but those are two guys that definitely stand out. And then, of course, you're looking 2 years from now with Cooper Flagg and Carlos Boozer's son. But, to Brandon's point, I would load up on as many picks as we can get. So that's why you try to ship guys. We got so many second-round picks. You can, package up second-round picks and move up into the first, and it may not be a lottery pick. It may be like the 25th pick of the draft. And you never know who you can find in the back end of the draft. Late draft picks have worked out for teams like the Grizzlies. You look at Desmond Bane, he was a late first-round pick, so you never know. I mean, Jordan Poole was a late first. He's had a good career. Not so great this year, but he's had a good career so far. But, I think it's tough. If you had to pick, it's hard to pick one, honestly, but I would just go best player available. Whoever you think is the best, whether it's a point guard or a center, even a forward. But I think you want to start with the head of the snake. I always want to build a team around a point guard. That's just my philosophy. You look at the Wizards. That's kind of how we've constructed our rosters. We started with John Wall. We traded for Gilbert Arenas. We signed Gilbert Arenas. We got him. But that's my philosophy. I like building around guards. But you look at right now, Victor's coming in. You're building around him. He's supposed to be a generational talent. You've seen a lot of bigs have come in and changed it. Like Joel Embiid, Jokic. Who else is some young guys I can name? But yeah, it's either one. It's either way right now. So, I would just go BPA, but I like going with a guard. But we need a big bad. This team needs a lot, so it's a hard decision to go with. But I probably go with a guard to start off with a point guard.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, I'm gonna say this about Cooper Flagg, because I know me and D-Camp, we talked about him a lot, and I know he went to the Rutgers. I know he's been dominating in high school, and I know he signed with Duke. I just think for the NBA, in my opinion, I think they're looking at it like it's very important for Cooper Flagg to actually be a successful player in the NBA, because when you look at guys like Jokic and when you look at Luka Doncic, they're successful, but what they're not is a American-born player. So I think for Cooper Flagg, they're looking for him to at least be a successful American-born player in the NBA, because if you think about it, the last one that you've seen like that was Larry Bird. If you really look at that, you've had guys like Adam Morrison, that didn't work out. Keith Van Horn, that didn't work out. Christian Laettner, that didn't work out. So I think they're hoping that Cooper Flagg can finally break that cycle. And if the Wizards are able to get him and he can turn out to be exactly what he's being advertised, it's a win-win for this organization. I mean, they need somebody special like that. I see that smile on your face, D-Can.
Well, because I was going to ask you, you think that the NBA is going to actually give us Cooper Flagg, or you saying we fall in one more ping pong?
Well, it was like, I was about to say.
And you say get him, or you think the NBA going to trust us with Cooper, or what?
We don't have Tommy Shepard running the show anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, they have no choice but to trust us at this point. So, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, I get it. We didn't get, Victor Wembanyama. West would have figured out a way to play Anthony Gill over him. So, I mean, when you got a Cooper Flagg and you get him with the number one pick, you can't be playing Shamet. You can't be playing anybody else in front of him. You just cannot. And if West is still the coach, then we're going to have a different conversation and start talking about the front office. Like, what are you guys doing? Why are you still holding on to him? So, yes, I think the league is definitely going to want Cooper Flagg to go to a franchise that they think he can be successful. but it's also going to boil down to what type of player Cooper Flag is going to be in the NBA. Right now, he's dominating in high school, and we'll find out when he's plays for Duke if he can be able to transition that over into college.
Well, I mean, he needs to gain some weight, man, and we got him. Look, we got Ben's Chili Bowl. We got some soya wings over in Brentwood. I'm just saying we have alternatives to get some weight on them, man. So I'm with you, man. Look, if you could grab a couple guys at this year's draft and then go get a Cooper Flag or get Boozer's kid, now you're looking at a nice little young squad, man. So, I mean, you build through the draft, you build the foundation through the draft, then those free agents are going to come. Those moves you make, the Donovan Mitchell's for the Cleveland Cavaliers, that final piece that you add to you take that step, so because we've always failed to take that final step. We instead of getting Paul George, we went and got an old Paul Pierce. And I get it, he called game, but but then they called series. So I'm just saying, man. So I mean, we definitely got to build up through the draft, man. But I think with this front office, man, like you said, Tommy Shepard running the shots. Lord have mercy, man. We didn't have Kuzma with his max contract. I mean, KP would have got maxed out. I mean, he would have got whatever he wanted. I mean, we have a good front office, man. So I think the light is definitely at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Tommy Shepard was willing to give money to anybody that was willing to take it. So you're right. He was already working the negotiation with KP, and the season wasn't even over with. He was already having conversations with him. And then, when Kuzma said he wanted $30 million, Tommy said, "Well, I'll get you that $30 million." So at least we know that we have a front office that has a plan. So that's why when we lose in basketball games, I can sit there and say to myself, at least I know this front office has a plan versus what we were dealing with the last 4 years. So we're coming up on the end of the show. Do any of you guys got any final thoughts? You got like about 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's we got a long way to go for this season, and it's definitely an evaluation period, and we all know West needs to go for sure. But I just want to see Bilal keep making strides. I want to see him in the starting lineup eventually. Denny keep playing well, keep making strides. Kuzma, keep getting his value up as much as he can. And we'll see how this Jordan Poole saga kind of plays out. I just, he's just. I think he's still trying to find his way, and it's hard coming into a new team with different expectations. You're expected to be, like Kevin Garnett put the James Harden expectations on him. He's putting expectations on him, getting that green light. So it's a lot of expectations. It's a different role for him. He's not a sixth man anymore. He's not playing with Steph. He's not playing with Clay, guys who make the game easier for him because guys are trying to double team Steph or go to the 3-point line to guard him. So it's a lot of different factors for him. So he's still learning. He's still maturing. Right now, it has been a disappointment so far, but we saw some flashes of maturity where he texted Bilal, had guys come out and practice over in California. So it's so interesting to see. He did all that in the offseason, and we kind of still see some maturity concerns going on with him. So I think that's the big thing. I think he just needs to settle down. The game come to him, and fans got to be patient too. So I get the booing and whatnot, but we got to be patient with him in a new scenery in DC. So we're all going to be closely looking at Jordan Poole for the rest of the season.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a long year, man. So I mean,
and Johnny Davis got to play a little bit too.
Oh, absolutely. Lord have mercy. It's gonna be a long year, man. I mean, you very well could see the Hennessy Lounge get turned into the MD 2020 Lounge by the end of the year. So I mean, it's gonna be a long one, man.
All right, fellas. Well, that concludes this episode of State of the Wizards, man. I want to thank Locked On Wizards, Brandon. Thank you guys so much for coming on the State of the Wizards. We really appreciate you guys. We got to do it again soon, man. We'll have to come over here and show some love to you guys.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us on.
All right, man. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Happy holidays.
All right, peace.
Peace, y'all.